This Steve Jones Show podcast is now loading. The Steve Jones Show podcast is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, and Brewers Outlet. Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Purdy Insurance, Brewers Outlet, and Sunbury Motor Company. Now from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
And this half hour being brought to you by Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket, imports domestics, microbrews, the best selection of beer anywhere. Wine coolers, water, soft drinks, lots and lots of snacks. They roast their peanuts fresh and hot every day. 6 great flavors of slushies, ready-to-drink cocktails like High Noon and Jack Daniel's Crown Royal. The pickle bar, led by my two favorites, the Barrels and the Dills, indeed second to none. All at Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. Always great to be joined by the outstanding Tim Kurkjian, who joins us on the show today. Tim, welcome back. Great to have you with us.
My pleasure, Steve. How are you?
I'm doing well, and I hope you're doing well.
Oh, yeah. We're 3 weeks into the baseball season, and it's been great, so all good.
Yeah, it has been great. So I'll get to a couple of issues first. How is Major League Baseball viewing what's happening in Sacramento, and how are they viewing the Tampa Bay situation?
Well, obviously they're both unfortunate that a major league team, in this case 2 of them, have to play in a minor league ballpark. It's just not right. Bud Selig told me 20 years ago when he was commissioner, we got to do something about Oakland, and we have to do something about Tampa Bay. And here it is 20 years later, and there's still no guarantees completely of everything. So things have gone okay so far. I mean, some interesting things have happened in the Sacramento ballpark. Same with Steinbrenner Field in Tampa, but you just can't, even though it's unique, it's different, and it's kind of fun, it's just not the way it should be that a big league team is playing in a minor league ballpark.
What has this done to the potential expansion clock in your mind?
Well, this is just my opinion, but I don't think you can expand until you're absolutely certain that Oakland and Tampa Bay are in the right place. That is, the A's not only are going to play in Sacramento in many good conditions as possible, but everything goes 100% to Las Vegas, 1,000% correctly. And then with the Rays, you got to figure out, what are they going to do about a new stadium? What are they going to do about the sale of the team? What are they going to do about a potential move of the team, which I'm not sure is going to happen anytime soon. But to me, you absolutely have to solidify those 2 franchises before you go expand, because it's just not a healthy situation, obviously, given that they're both playing in minor league ballparks.
This has been an interesting, not only start to the season, but also a lot of contracts have come out, especially for younger players, from Anthony with the Red Sox all the way out to Jackson Merrill with the Padres, and then there's the Vlad Guerrero deal. What have you thought of those contracts, and we'll get to the Guerrero one last.
Yeah, I'm all in favor of taking a young player like Jackson Merrill, who not only is really good and is going to get better every year, but he's one of those guys who just exudes confidence. He's a great teammate. There's 0 chance he's going to get out of shape or let the money go to his head or stop playing because he got paid. He's the opposite of that. So if you can identify young guys in your system that you need to keep for a long time, and you can save money by extending them now to these 7-8 year contracts, I am all in favor of that. You just have to be certain, however, that the guy has the right personality, character, work ethic, and everything else to make sure that 5 years into the deal, you haven't made a major mistake. That is certainly not the case with virtually all the young guys who've been extended here recently Jackson Merrill at the top of that list.
And then the other part is Vlad Guerrero, who's been in the league for a while. And if he were to be a free agent, would probably command a bidding war. What did you think of his contract? Were the Blue Jays between a rock and a hard place on this?
Yeah, I don't think the Blue Jays had a choice. The entire country was waiting on them to make a decision. The decision they made on Vlad Guerrero Jr. As we know, they missed out on Shohei Ohtani. They tried to get Juan Soto. They went big after some other free agents and didn't get any of them. And people around the Blue Jays, fans everywhere, are wondering, are we going to keep our own? If you're not going to go out and spend enormous amounts of money to sign other players, free agents, other teams' free agents, you have to keep your own. And Vlad Guerrero Jr., with this contract, I believe, will end up being the greatest Blue Jay ever. He's a great young hitter. He just turned 26 years old. He's got a really good track record. The only concern, and goes for like almost anyone that signs that kind of deal, is he going to be really interested in staying in the best shape possible, still being a really good defensive player? Is any of this going to get to his head? My guess is no. He has said all along, I want to stay in Toronto. Not everyone says I want to stay in Toronto, even though it's a beautiful city, and they take care of their players there so well. So I don't think the Blue Jays had a choice. They had to do what they had to do. Is it an overpay? It probably will be someday, but for now, I don't think they had a choice. They had to sign him long term.
Every race in these divisions, I think, can be exciting all season long. But when you look at the National League West, what are your thoughts when you see those top four teams?
Well, they're all really good. And I got a good look at the Giants this spring, and I left thinking, I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, but they're significantly better than they were last year. Buster Posey came in and made a difference with not just who he picked up, but the attitude that he sent towards the team, and it's really showing. The Padres, I thought in spring training, were really good. The Diamondbacks, really good. And the Dodgers are the best team in baseball entering this season. So I think you can look at those four teams in that division and say all four of them are good enough to make the playoffs. We'll see if that works out depending on the rest of the league. But the National League is loaded right now. So the thought that the Dodgers were at the beginning of the year were going to win 116 games, I just didn't buy it because of the division they're in. They got to play some really good teams a whole bunch of times.
Yeah, absolutely. That is going to be the bottom line. The Phillies made subtle moves in the offseason. What has been your thought on their team in the early going?
Well, it's been up and down, but I would be thrilled if I were a Phillies fan right now. Granted, it's 17 games, but, you're 10-7. Alec Boehm's hitting under 200. Brandon Marsh is 4 for 40. Trey Turner hadn't gotten going yet. Yep. Aaron Nola's got an ERA over 5, and yet they're right there. I mean, Jesus Luzardo has given them a huge boost. Their starting rotation, once Nola gets together, which he will, and once Wheeler gets great again, which he will, they can pitch with any team in baseball out of that rotation. So I think the Phillies, I thought going into the season, they were the second best team in baseball. Only the Dodgers were better. And I've seen nothing at this point to change my feeling on that. But a few things have gone wrong. Those things are not going to continue for the Phillies. They are really good, period.
Juan Soto made a fair admission. He says, look, I'm not seeing the same pitches I saw with Aaron Judge behind me. So what's been your thought on the Mets and him in the early going with the Mets?
Yeah, I mean, he's a great hitter, Steve, and he's going to be a great hitter all season. And he changed the look of the Yankees last year the minute he showed up on that team, and he's going to do the same thing eventually for the Mets. He hasn't gotten going yet. It's okay. Hardest hitting environment that I've ever seen, and even really good hitters get off to slow starts. I'm not sure the timing of what he said was necessary. I'm not sure he should have said it out loud, given that he could have gone back to the Yankees and hit in front of Aaron Judge if he'd just taken $760 million. So I wasn't sure about those comments, but look, I have no worries that Soto's going to be great this year. The Mets are going to be a significantly better offensive team than they were last year. And the way they've pitched so far this year, they're a playoff team for me moving forward. We just got started here, but I really like what I've seen from the Mets.
Right. Okay, the NFL draft is coming up next week, and we all know that over the years that if a Russell Wilson's drafted in the third round, a Seattle Seahawks team has great financial flexibility because they're paying their quarterback a third-round number. The Pittsburgh Pirates are paying Paul Skeens a $740,000 number, major league minimum. What's your thought on how they're putting that team together when they have a pitcher that obviously is the face of the franchise, and they should have more flexibility, but they don't seem to be exercising it?
Yeah, the Pirates are off to a slow start and a disappointing start, and I worry for their sake once in a while that they say, all right, we've got Paul Skeens, everything else is going to take care of itself, because arguably he's the best pitcher in baseball already. But it doesn't work that way. You have to surround him with more guys in the rotation, even though it's a good rotation, more guys in the bullpen, and you got to score way more runs than they've scored to this point. So, and, the Pirates have run into some prickly issues off the field with bricks and with statues and all sorts of things. And, you can't do that when you haven't been to the playoffs or been over 500 since 2018. And when the fan base is upset at you, you can't do anything to get them upset even more. So I'm still giving the Pirates some time to get better from here, but they're going to have to get better pretty quickly, because the team I see right now is just not going to score enough runs to make the playoffs in a winnable National League Central.
Yeah, in the first 16 games they played, I think 14 of the 16 they had 4 or fewer runs. So, Tim, okay, we could talk about the issues with baseball, but there's a lot of exciting things happening in baseball. What are a couple of those things that really excite you moving forward about the way the game's being played this season?
Well, I just love I always love this stuff. I just love the unpredictable nature of the game. For instance, as of this morning, Tyler Soderstrom of the A's was leading the major leagues in home runs.
Yep.
Wilmer Flores of the Giants was leading the major leagues in runs batted in. And Jonathan Aranda of the Rays was leading the major leagues in hitting. This is one reason that baseball is the greatest. We can't go 3 to 4 weeks into an NFL or an NBA season. And even these guys are good players, don't get me wrong, but the league leaders are always right at the top in the other sports. But here in baseball, we're 3 weeks in and you're just slapping your forehead like, how can this be happening? And so many things have happened so far, including the Yankees hitting 7 home runs in the first 3 innings of a game, which I covered. The Yankee first team ever to start any game with 3 home runs on 3 pitches. At least 20 things have happened now that have basically never happened in baseball history. And this is what still excites me so much about the game. They've been playing it for 150 years, well over 200,000 games played, and things are still happening that have never happened before.
And you had a guy in Garrett Crochet that the Red Sox acquired from the White Sox, and he carried a no-hitter into the 8th inning in Chicago. When you look at Crochet and Bregman, what can they mean to a franchise that has been spinning its wheels for the last couple of years?
Yeah, I left spring training thinking the Red Sox were arguably the most improved team in the American League. Crochet is an ace of aces, and they extended him as they should have. Bregman brings an arrogance to that team, which is exactly what they needed, a guy who the only thing he's ever done in his career is won. Same as with Walker Buehler. Wherever he's been, his team wins. That's it. Yep. And that's exactly what the Red Sox needed. Now, I'm not suggesting they're really good because they're off to a tricky start also. But last year, I don't think they had any chance to win the division. I think they're good enough to win the American League East this year, and that's in part because there are no great teams in the American League. It's going to be a free-for-all all season. I don't see anyone winning 100 games, but a bunch of teams are pretty good, but I don't see any great teams in the American League, which should add to a lot of fun in the AL this year.
I always call it management by walking around. When you've gone around ballparks, how excited are fan bases about the game the way it's being played today?
Well, I think it's great that you look around, and there are only a few teams, you know, maybe the Nationals and the Rockies and the White Sox that have no chance to make the playoffs. A lot of other teams, especially in the winnable American League, have a chance to be pretty darn good. I mean, even the Angels. The Angels just finished a 9-game stretch where they hit 25 homers. They've never hit 25 homers in any 9-game stretch in the history of the franchise. Wow. So all sorts of things are open there for the fan base, and with 6 playoff teams, 3 wild card teams, I think it's going to be a tremendous pennant race, and we haven't even gotten close to that. I just look at where the teams are going, and there are no great teams in the American League and about 7 potentially elite teams in the National League.
I'm with you on the enthusiasm part, because guess what? You may not have like a lot of great teams in the American League, but if everybody thinks they have a chance, now you've got people having fun at the ballpark. Tim, always a pleasure. Thanks so much for your valuable time. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure, Steve. Thank you.
Party time, game time, or just fun time. Doesn't matter what time it is, because it's Brewers Outlet time. The Beverage Supermarket has the area's largest beer selection. Imports, microbrews, ciders, and domestics. Pick from over 100 ice-cold 12-packs and dozens of 24-ounce singles. Soda, snacks, hot sauces, fresh roasted peanuts. Make it one-stop party shopping, and don't forget the pickle bar. So whatever you're celebrating or just doing it up, Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street, Sunbury wants to see you. And thank you for your years of patronage.
At Sunbury Motors, we're not just from America, we're for America. That's why we're proud to announce our employee pricing program with incredible savings on 255 new eligible Fords. Right now, save up to $6,797 on 25 2025 Ford Explorers, starting at under $40,000. Save up to $2,665 on 16 2025 Ford Mavericks, starting just under $28,000. And for those who need strength and power, save up to $10,541 on 60 2025 Ford F-150s, starting at under $48,000. These are more than vehicles. They represent American craftsmanship, strength, and pride. At Sunbury Motors, we're proud to be American-made, American-owned, and dedicated to helping you drive through 2025 with confidence. Sunbury Motors, American-made, American-owned, and coming alive in 2025.